Hello, everyone. Coyote here. I'm just going to come on a little bit. Um, this is more like sort of checking in because it just entered my mind to share this. And also, it's helping me because I'm tracing back some of my ability and fine tuning it in such a way to kind of it was speaking to me. So I wanted to share because in case you're wondering about any intuitive or psychic ability, and you've been a person calling things a coincidence, or oh, that's weird, or oh, that's strange, or oh, I know, and you sort of give away your power around that. Actually, you do give away your power around that. Those phrases. So, as a young child, for example, one significant thing that I recall, and this is about angels and now automatic writing, but what I recall, even as a young child, I was in Italy. I was probably around 3 years old, and I wasn't speaking. That I recall, I wasn't speaking in a style that was Italian, nor was I speaking in a style that was English. I was just a child, that 3-year-old child. But I knew what things felt like. And I remember being in a third floor, at least a third floor apartment building, and my cousins were babysitting and not paying attention to me. They were playing a game, which I was too young to understand, nor even if they showed me what to do, I feel like I would not have, it's like I judged they weren't going to include me and I probably wouldn't understand them. However, I did understand how to get their attention. And I had this wonderful covered wagon with a team of horses, a plastic toy set that I would through the banister railings that were slotted, up and down vertical. I would pretend to be playing, and I throw my and I loved the horses. So I didn't want to hurt them, but I throw my toy like, oops, it fell, and then I'd say, oh, I need some help. I would say something in baby language, and they would go get it and tell me, okay. Now that happened 3, 4, 6 times, and I really got through not understanding Italian that they did not wish to help me anymore. I really wanted to be included, and so there was that felt language, the feeling that you're communicating and being understood, and you're understanding some of the communication of others in it looks like an attitude, it may look like a look, but it's a feeling and it's a vibe. And so some of you may recall things at a young age where no one has to tell you, but you have a feeling or a vibe about what you're perceiving and experiencing. And it ends up being true because there you are as a child, bouncing your toy, throwing your toy somewhere else, and people come to talk to you about it who are nice at first. And then there's sort of a warning like, never again. But you get that vibe without understanding the language completely in the human form in that now time, that present time, when you aren't really being able to articulate clearly. It's a felt thing. So I felt that. I also understood one of my times on the plane ride to Italy when I felt so sick, not as sick as sometimes I've been as an adult, which has passed quite a bit in terms of travel and interestingly enough, motion sickness. But I remember that there was a little puppet monkey, a monkey, talking to me. And I remember feeling like wanting to believe the stewardess, that monkey was real. To me, that monkey was real. And yet I knew it was animated by a person and it seemed like they had their hand in it, but the monkey was real to me. It was two things. It was, I think the grown ups are talking with me through the monkey, and the monkey is talking to me anyway. And the monkey is real, even though I saw the monkey separately laying down and it had no hand in it, but later it had a hand in it and it was speaking to me. And I knew it was connected to a human, but the monkey was real. So I was having this association that seems to be pretend, and yet what can be in our world that now I'm going to try to find the right words for this. It was a felt feeling that for me, that hand sock puppet was its own vibration and aliveness. And then it was imparted through human form that it spoke. But as it laid for me, it was quiet and it wasn't dead, it was still alive. It still had some energy about it. Okay. Fast forward, there was a time, maybe I was around 7, 6, 7, 8, all in that range. There was some very naughty and horrific things I did, which I'm not going to go and toss out all the black things I've done, because I also think that as children who are psychic, we're also influenced by dark forces too, and our environments of frustration. And it's not to excuse, but I've been there. I've been this angelic young child and this venomous, evil young child in moments, not and even as a young adult, there are things I'm not going to share, but I understand both that light and dark, because my shadow ran deep, and the vast light that I am ran extremely high and bright as well. And I'll mention a reason why that I know that too. So I remember being in a car going to the Cape, and it may have been the first time we went to the Cape. It may have been the second, I think it was the first. And down the Cape, that is, for those of you who don't know, in Massachusetts, there's an area where a piece of land sticks out, which is known as the Cape and Cape Cod. And my father, I thought we were so rich, he rented this beautiful Victorian, much too big for a family of four, two very young kids and adults. Very big. I know it was a very big house to get lost in. But on the way down, we were in the car, and I really felt an impulse to tell my father that he was a hairdresser. He was starting to do extremely well. That we should have a 1 second. I'm going to take this banner off for right now. Okay. Hey, Deb. Oh, thank you for your compliment. I remember feeling a felt thing, a strong felt thing, which I did not say, because as a child I also learned that I wasn't really taken very seriously. But I remember hearing, your father tell him about having a candle shop, a McDonald's, and a donut shop. Whether he did donuts, like McDonald's, candles. I, as a child, thought, oh, McDonald's is good. And then I was also thinking in my head, candles seems little, but that will go very far. And then there was like a Dunkin' Donuts type thing, because in those days there was less seemingly legalities involved. I mean, they were like, in the beginning, it was like almost anybody putting the dollars together could be part of this franchise and have their own piece of this franchise. But I didn't, and I was going to, but I didn't. I don't know if the conversation went somewhere, or I just felt uncomfortable and I let it slide. And I didn't think much of it. It was only in years past I would think of all these little nuances. At this Cape House, and we were seeing how big the house was, and it was really, the epitome of old-fashioned Victorian and Cape House. And for me, I was a little afraid of it, because I had this room to myself that was huge for a young child. It was huge by any means. It was a bedroom, sitting room, queen size bed, very big bed, beautiful windows. And then there was a closet, and then there was a space by the closet that was like a hallway, and that hallway would run to what would be my brother's room, where he would be in, and then my parents were somewhere around there. Don't remember. Off that bedroom, there was the regular hallway and the banister that led up to the second floor. There may have been a third floor. I just remember specifically. Don't even remember sleeping, but I remember the impression of that bedroom, because I was lingering in it as my mother brought my brother. We have 3 children altogether, but there were only 2 of us then. And she brought him to his room, and I hung out in my room for a second, and I'm not sure why, just kind of feeling that impression of this big room, young child, thinking we were rich, because my bedroom, that bedroom to borrow, was so much bigger than the bedroom I had, which was a good sized room, as a matter of fact. But this was like 5 times the size of what I had at the apartment where we lived. So The closet door seemed to be a little bit open, and then it opened a little bit more. Now, I can't remember if it was my shirt that my mother had hung up or a shirt, but I remember the closet door kind of opened a little bit more, and a sleeve of a shirt waved itself. Closet door opened a little bit. It was like a hanger got moved, and this sleeve of a white shirt waved itself. And I got a little scared. I was like, well, no one will believe me. Because I had to go, the closet doors here, that little skinny secret hallway was, and in the walls was here. And it wasn't really lit. I don't think there was a little light. It was just a hallway to go across to the other room. And it wasn't the hallway that was outside with the banister coming up to the second floor. And so I had to go by that. And I was like, I even could have mentioned and not right away that the shirt moved in the closet. But, I wasn't heard because you're 6 or 7 years old. You're not, and the mom is helping settle everything with her children. So I wasn't really heard. And that was also my first place where I had a balcony. I had a balcony off my bedroom or somewhere around there. And there was a cat. The backyard was beautiful garden. And there was a gate, the epitome old English style gate with like some flowers. And there could have been, I think, a gazebo. And then the other house was just so big. The lands were kind of close together. Really, it was an affluent neighborhood. And we lived in the city in a 3-decker. So it was a far cry from some cement, some trees and 3-deckers and noisy highways and, funky mixed neighborhoods of loudness and ethnicity. And I saw a kitty and I went, and the kitty started to come. So I went downstairs to the back porch area or these doors that led out. The kitty came to me and I brought the kitty in. And that began my love with kitties. And so my father had found out from the neighbor that they were taking care of these people while they were away. This was their kitty. And so the kitty was very nice. So I remember that. That was some of my beginning in angels and devils, and some things I've been transparent about, which I won't do the horror stuff. That should go into a book, things that children do, like the bad seed. I wasn't that bad. I didn't do some of the things she did, but I was close, pretty close. So I would say there was a time I saw an entity, and I think I was just coming off of a scarlet fever or something that children get as a flu. That was one thing. But I saw something, and I was afraid. My bedroom, my brother's bedroom, I think eventually he had the furthest away bedroom, but he always seemed to sleep well. I was at there were 2 big rooms, the old-fashioned parlors. I had 2 old-fashioned parlors. It was a wonderful apartment, a really wonderful old industrial apartment. And it's a shame. I know that building now is so run down by the children of the owner who've taken it over. It's really like a slum. They let it go into a slum. But that apartment's so big, and if they were willing, and maybe they don't have the dollars, it's just a slum. But those apartments were so big and lovely and roomy, and it could be a very nice place to live, actually, spacious. But I remember seeing this entity that years and years later, I opened up a book or was guided to open up a book on either witchcraft or Dave or Book of the Dead or something. And I opened up exactly to the page, or the second page I looked at that I opened to was exactly describing this demon. And it didn't stay there long, and I did want to go away. And I might have even called Archangel Michael. I might have called angels to come protect me and put my head over the blanket. So it didn't stay long. But also I had seen what were puppets hanging in the bathroom when I had to go in the middle of the night. And I really couldn't go because I was so scared. These puppets were staring at me. And my mom did come when I went to get her. and she made fun or berated me, was angry with me for waking her up because she either had to get up early for work or she had just come back from work after many hours. And it wasn't a puppet. It was a towel, and the way the towel looked with its colors and the picture on it could no way have been these a puppet or two puppets. They were like nutcracker type, they almost looked 3D. They had those icky, evil to me, very interesting, if not unhappy, rather kind of questionable happy faces. They look kind of evil to me, actually. Um, and it wasn't that. There was nothing hanging there. It was, I think, a sailboat, like a beach blanket that you might use down the Cape or at some beach. And it might have said Cape Cod on it, but I saw this hanging one or two puppets, and I saw them hanging, um, with their threads and everything. I couldn't go to the bathroom, and I was afraid to reach for the light because it was. I came through the bathroom door. There were two bathroom doors. I came from my bedroom, connecting bedroom to the bathroom, and then I went to sit down on the toilet, and this towel is facing me. Okay, but it wasn't. It was this something staring at me, and the light switch where I had to reach or flick on was getting too close to this, and it frightened me enough that with the other exit door was just, I was just thinking, I'm tired. I don't know what I'm seeing. I was telling myself too as a child, I'm tired. I don't know what I'm seeing. I don't want to get my mother. I know she's gonna be mad at me, but I did, and she was mad at me. But of course, then with the light on and seeing nothing, I could urinate and I could fully go to bed, fully go to sleep. But I was wondering what was wrong with me. But things like this always followed me to a point. There were many other types of events. I was a kidnap victim during that time of the kidnapping and the abuse. There were things that happened which I wish I didn't do. I thrown some plants away. I heard them crying, don't get rid of us, don't throw us away, don't, and I thought, no one's going to find me. No one will be able to take care of the plants. And I was putting them in the garbage pail. And, for years later, and even this moment, I wondered what happened with those plants. Did someone rescue them out of the big dumpster they went in? And just little things that always followed me, so subtle but so strong. Or sometimes our psychic intuitive ability is so subtle. It's so subtle. It's just that nudge, call that person. No, I've been mad at them enough and call them. Or it's little fleeting things. This is how the divine will talk to you. The only time the divine usually gets a little louder is when it really needs to get your attention, that you really feel that uncomfortable thing in your stomach and you maybe haven't learned. And even up to recently, I did something like that too. I didn't understand that off feeling in my solar plexus was me not asking another question or coming clean to voice what I needed to do. It's really us as energy beings. We're an energy sponge, we're an energy entity in a human flesh form, but still everything about us radiates and permeates. We just don't have a coffee table conversation about it. And it's also true. Now, I remember a time being 12 and right here at this spot, not having a table here. I don't think anything that was really here. I could have had a sewing machine here actually, because I was sewing things at the time or trying to be so a sewer, and I wasn't very good at it. I didn't like following directions, perhaps, and I found it tedious, and I wanted to be so creative, but it was taking me a long time. Or if I rushed things, whatever came out, I would wear it a little bit and then get rid of it because it wasn't that perfect. But I made stuff. Um, right here, I remember looking out the window, and my parents were gone, and I was going to take a shower. I remember feeling like it was a time in my life. I think I was about 12. I didn't feel pretty. I was gaining weight. I was in school I didn't like. I was in this neighborhood I didn't like. This neighborhood, I never really liked it all that much. I never liked leaving the city to come to the country, and the friendships we had seemed to dissolve. Um, and now I know in terms of walking, some of those I've walked from this location to the next town of Worcester. I've walked from this location into the next town of West Boylston, which I could have walked 5 miles, 10 miles, and I could have walked as much as 16 miles at some point. But that's because I did it and I didn't know when I was a little older. So, but being, um, 12, I felt stuck in this neighborhood with nothing to do. And so what I saw was a spaceship, or at least, let me see, that was another time. I felt very strongly for that first time around 11 or 12, I was left here. Later, there was a time, I was about 27, I saw a spaceship. It was gold, like rose gold, and it had lights around the side, like the cabin, on a traditional ship, you might have a round window. It seemed to have that around the side. It was huge. It seemed to linger in the sky, and I was having a kind of an argument with a boyfriend of that time who was really not good for me at all. But I was one like nudge him because it was telling me off. It was telling me basically why I wasn't perfect or good or whatever was up with us in our relationship, which was a pretty bad relationship actually. It wasn't not a loving relationship and not a supportive relationship. It was just where I was in my choices at that time. And I saw this beautiful ship in broad daylight. Well, it went away when I wanted to get someone else's attention. I've had many different experiences, light and dark, my whole life. That I invited in by purpose and I didn't know any better, or that I invited in by default and didn't know any better, and some angelic things that even on the cusp of losing a pet, having judgments over a pet that I wasn't sure about, and then losing that pet, a huge angelic entity, and even in a holistic session at one time, saw this huge holistic energy, angel type energy. It didn't come as angel; it almost looked like some form of was a being, was a light being, and not from this dimension. Which, if you ever hear Joe Dispenza be interviewed, Dr. Joe Dispenza be interviewed about light beings that have come to his sessions, which he didn't start out this way at all. I met this man a long time ago, Dr. Joe Dispenza, very famous. Wouldn't remember me. I was not, I was in the same room with him because I was representing a gallery and he was selling his book, and I was actually going to listen to his lecture that night. But he talks about in an interview that he now sees these light beings, and what he described is what I saw in the session a long time ago. That these two women, very interestingly, had devised a modality where they were getting these really that light beings, and I did see them. I forget what my session was about. It was something about healing or moving a block or I don't know, getting connected to me in some myself in some way. But I saw this light being, and I maybe even saw two, but I remember one extremely tall. He either had a hat or his head was actually somewhat flat, and it had almost like the face similarly to those you see on Easter Island. But the entity itself was very broad and tall, and we're talking about 9 foot, 10 foot, 13 foot beings, and wide, not fat, just very statuesque, yet breathable and viable and peaceful, intelligent energy. So I've always had these experiences light and dark between devils and things touching me that were not of the light, and seeing and being visited by a gray entity, and being visited by high fae and elemental, being seeing things floating in the air that weren't part of this reality. Sometimes seeing auras and hearing things, and then of course kind of up to speed. And I'm sure I'm missing because I've seen cats. I saw a spirit cat actually at the warehouse that I was working at in the last 6 months, which is interesting because at that warehouse there was a section in a smaller room that had Parthenon shelves where a little bit smelled like cat pee pee. Now I won't know if that kitty also died there. That's something I don't know the history, and I haven't done any in psychic work around it. But I remember going to close up, and I remember seeing this like a gray tabby cat like run just from come out from one section of the wall where it would turn and go toward another direction. Then there was a big post and part of a wall in the way, but it kind of ran sort of in front of me. So I'm always having these experiences sometimes, and you may have them too, where you think you see something that's not there, but it's very real to you. Or maybe you're driving along and it may be a road and sometimes there's a road you don't know, but you're sort of in a zone and then you don't know how you exactly got somewhere because the road seemed to be somewhere else all of a sudden, or that you now come to a light, but you don't remember doing all the things that were familiar, like your brain skipped it, or you even in fact skipped it because you stepped out of your body. Part of you stepped out to get something, learn something, and come back. These things are real. Um, yeah, I mean, I know what it feels like to be in haunted houses and haunted spaces, or places that are like vortices, and sometimes they have memories, and the memories aren't there right now and present. They've come through to the present, and they're just sounds and memories from a time. So it seems like the house is haunted, but it's the house having its character. But then there's also houses that may be haunted or have an old energy, especially in New England, where old time farm places, if people died um, in the winter and you can't get picks and shovels to dig 6 feet under, what do they do with the bodies? They've got to somehow keep them on ice, or they might even bury them in a cellar of a house until they can retrieve them or they leave them. Um, and it'd be an interesting story to talk to the history of pastors at the time to see what they did with the bodies. They would bring them out in the woods, and they how could they do it? Because then the animals would look and smell the bodies to go eat them. So it's very, very interesting and about that part. But I just had all these different, and to a point, like when I was in some of these, it was in haunted places. I didn't want to stay there. Even my own place that I rented for a while was haunted, and I had to get someone to clear, not haunted, but was visited. And some of these dark things were staying based on my own folly, and I really didn't know what I was doing. It did have to do with manipulating the Lord's Prayer, and that's why I tell people who recite the Lord's Prayer or who contest the Bible and what they know, which they can do volumes around me. The Bible is a book, as it is, a duality book, and the words can be used to call in Satan, or they can call in the most magnificent light of the world. So it's really being wise. Our words are our wand, and people have written about this for hundreds of years. The science of mind people. I want metaphysical. Gosh, there's a word for them. Turn of the century folks who very much are into Jesus Christ and very much into God and the universe. Very much, very heartfelt, grounded people. Wallace Wattles and Atkinson. Is it Wallace Atkinson? There's an Atkinson gentleman. There's Florence Scovel-Shinn, Catherine Ponder, lots of people. Edgar Casey, lots of people. Genevieve Barand, and there's another gentleman that has a name T in his name, and I can't think of him right now. But there's many people who were channels and channels for the light and good and grace. And I'll tell you how the word is your wand, and they'll tell you that you call in things you gotta just be aware. Now we have our own experiences so that you can say, well, I'm going to choose this higher road, next time, or do your best as you move forward to do that. But the dark never has you until you sign off and really commit to the dark. At any point, you can go back to the light, vice versa, but the light holds the power, really. And in this electromagnetic magnetic universe, it's to understand. And Amanda Ellis, she wonderfully said this on her own show, which she channels Metatron, and she's a very established channeler and spiritual teacher. And there's a lot of what she says, what she likes. I don't always agree with her, but there's a lot of what she says. And I like her very, very much. If I was her neighbor, I would believe her and be over there for tea all the time. But bugging her, it's like, can I be on your show? But she brought up something that she was experiencing, and some of us light workers, or some of us religious people or spiritual belief might do this too. We have to always be in the light. We can't look at anything dark. We won't have the power to protect ourselves. We can't do blah, blah, blah. But until you look at evil or badness, which can mirror something in yourself. And for you, it may be that you stole a piece of gum when you were 6 or 15, or you lied once in your life. And it's the biggest, I won't say sin because that's a different meaning than what we were told, but it's the biggest guilt trip you've had. And it seems to wreck and keep you in the past. honey, you're like a saint compared to me. You're like, you got 20 wings flying high in the sky. But we have something called these mirrors of this evil to take a look at. If we don't have the first, if we're not clear, you can't take that stone and throw it. I'm not using the evil as an excuse, nor me as an excuse, nor anyone else who's done something that we need to be accountable as an excuse. I'm saying that if we look inside and do our best to be clearing and just aware, to be clearing and honorable to our truth for us, if we're our truth for us, and doing our best to come to the edges clean so that we can invite and just keep circulating light through our apparatus, then to understand, to transmute darkness, to go, oh yeah, it's you. Hey, Lucifer, yeah, it's you. But you know what? Nah, I don't consent. And yeah, I got your number. And I'm going to tell you right now, no, I'm not going to do that. And yeah, maybe I did it last year, but I'm not going to do it today. And too bad. Or you can understand in a small way, even, you can understand Satanists. You can understand those that eat flesh. You can understand those that want power, money, sex their way, any kind of manipulation, domination. You can understand even a little bit in even a little nano moment. It doesn't mean you agree with it. It doesn't mean you're becoming it. It doesn't mean you wish to allow it. It doesn't mean you wish to make excuses for it. It's just you taking your power in all ways, as above, so below, as within, so without, all timelines, dimensions, and spaces. You are the spark of infinite mind in a human form having an experience. Evil is having an experience. Angels are having their experiences. You are having your experiences lifetime after lifetime. You're having your experiences through choices, through observing, through sensing, and feeling. So we all are intuitive. It's how much do we let ourselves feel our goodness and or our pain? Because we feel our pains to go deep and come to embrace our child or ourselves within and can allow for that movement. We then open up for so much more expansion, taking risks. Angels. And now I'm talking about automatic writing and some other stuff. And I'll give you an example of today, automatic writing too. So automatic writing, I heard about from a friend in high school. And I wish I knew where she was, and I wish I remembered her last name, because she was a person that sometimes even thought she weird. And she was a person, she probably has a psychic shop somewhere. She probably has a card reader somewhere. She was into this, I remember that she was having trouble with her complexion. She was having trouble with her weight. She was very feminine, and she was very sweet. She didn't feel she was very smart, but she knew about automatic writing, and she was a sensitive soul, and she was a very caring person. Her name is Robin, and I can't think of her last name. But if ever this person, Robin, hears this, thank you for you in my life at a time. She brought in automatic writing. And at first I thought it was weird, and I can't remember the questions I asked when I was in high school, but you'd actually take a pen or pencil and you would ask a question and answers would come. Now, I didn't know in those days about, and I don't know even if she remembered using protection or if she was into more Wiccan style, information. But I remember kind of doing that and thought it was like, just let it write. And it would write. It would just go. Much like if you had your hands on a Ouija board, which is a whole nother topic. Excuse me. So anyway, throughout the years, I would sometimes use automatic writing to get an answer. And sometimes it seemed like no answers were coming. It was not clear. It was silly. It was squiggles. But speeding up today, and I know I'm going to be missing something, but I'll bring this back. Automatic writing. This is my page. This is my wand or my pencil. And I will usually try to get a yes/no question. Or sometimes I get a sentence. Or sometimes as I can't write a word, I get the feeling and the word is through my mind. I usually ask yes/no. And sometimes it just does nothing. So then I'm getting into a more comfortable place to use a pendulum again. I have felt so powerful at times in the last year and a half or so powerful or not powerful that I could make the pendulum, not like I would swing it, the pendulum meaning an item at the end of a cord, chain, rope. In the pendulum, you would ask a question to give yourself the indication of yes and then no, so you knew which direction was which. And also invites asking a clearer question as well. Anyway, this morning, in real time, been going back and forth via Facebook Marketplace to try and sell some sneakers I had that I paid $35 for. They were on sale. These steel toe sneakers, and I got someone who was interested, and I wasn't sure if it was a kid, and he was, coming from far away, and blah blah, because the banter went back and forth a little via text. But I got that, yeah, I got in here that, yeah, it is a real person, and yeah, he is means what he says. Then I started to do some automatic writing, which was for me, yes, this person wants the sneakers. Yes, he'll meet you. Now, this person was coming at least 20, 25 miles from one direction highway, and I'm coming also, 20 minutes, maybe 25 minutes. So we were meeting. And then even this morning on the way, yes, I got that I should still go through my body. I got that feeling of move forward. Also with asking the question, I got yes. On the way, as I tell him I'm leaving, I'm going to get gas. I texted him gas, and I'm coming. It was something happened, and maybe he misunderstood me, or he was texting me at like almost 7:45, 7:40. Hey, I'm just leaving now. Is that too late? Because he knew I had time constriction at the time. I had to be back here this morning by a certain time. So what happened was I looked at it and I knew, like, yeah, I'm still gonna go. I don't know, he's running late. I don't get this. Or is he stopping me? And so I had to pull over to fully engage in the text. And then I ended up, because he said, "Oh, I called you." I ended up having his number, so I called him and I said, "Yeah, I'm still coming." And he said, "Is it too late?" I said, "No, I'll still come. I just got gas. I'm still coming." And he said, "Well, I'm really just leaving. Is that bad?" And I said, "No. I'm going to the place we agreed, which was Cabela's in a town called Hudson." So I do get there a few moments before him, but I go. Okay. So through the automatic writing, through the senses of something very subtle but kind of strong, following it, even though it's rainy, maybe I don't want to go. Do I want the $20? I don't know. Was he lying? Maybe I'm wrong. I said, I'm going to go. I'm going to expand myself and have an experience. And I decided that if my intuition was wrong, it was okay. I was still going to let myself have an adventure. I was still going to be back on time for what I needed to do. Nothing, I needed to guess anyway. I didn't mind to drive there. It was fine. I was going to be moving my own energy, if not, in fact, meeting this person, which he did come. He was a very nice man, and his name is Henry. Hello, Henry, if you ever watch this. And he tried on the shoes. He said, "You sure they're not women's?" It seemed a little small. They had the original box and everything. The shoes were they're pretty brand new. There was a little bit of funkiness, like maybe I spilled kombucha on it, so it's like a little discoloration, but the treads were great. And you can see to wear it, I hardly wore them. I bought them. I maybe wore them 10 times, and mostly inside. If I wore them outside, it was like maybe to my car. Maybe I wore them a couple of times to a delivery. I mean, really, they were like so brand new, they didn't even look worn at all. But they didn't fit him. And we chatted and we liked each other. And he passed me $10. I said, "What are you doing?" I said, "It's a chance we took. It's fine. I don't mind at all." He said, "Well, I have two jobs. I don't mind. You have a job. You sometimes do Lyft. You kind of want to move. You don't know. You don't. He didn't say you don't know what you're doing, but basically it's like, whatever. I'll take care of it. I'll take care of it. It was cool to meet you. You're very nice. You deserve $10. So see how the universe also shows up for people taking risks. I mean, things can happen that are very joyous. Yes, things happen that hurt and feel very uncomfortable. And believe me, I know you cry and swear like a son of a gun. I was going to say son of a bitch. You swear and you're like, "God, why did you put me in this place? And it is hard, and I don't know where money is coming from, and I got to do this X, Y, and Z, and what you put me here, and I don't know where the hell I am, and why do I want to be in East Cupcake, Alabama anyway, and blah, blah, blah." So, yeah, things happen to fill you up with more spirit, truly. And that part of that spirit is yours, your higher self, you, your God self, you God on earth. Shine your light, as my friends say. Uh, Give a shout to Robin Nicole over in Ireland. That Ireland gal, oh, she's a cool one. She's pretty. She's talking to the fairies and she's talking to galactics and she's talking to the high faith family, and she's doing all kinds of things with crystals. She's a lovely bird. Yeah, she's really nice. And we don't agree on everything, you know. She talked to cows once, and I like her answer on the cow thing, but she's a great person, and you should look her up. She is Robin Nicole Shine Your Light Network. She's a sweet person, sweet person. So, anyways, automatic writing does work. Now, here's the thing about automatic writing, or anytime you're gonna declare stuff. I think that would be very good to work with your brand of your archangels, your high self, your galactics, your elementals, the violet flame, Lord Saint Germain, some mantra, and in believability, protect yourself and your field. Bring in the cube of Metatron, the flower of life. Um, Talk to the Christ itself, that is Yeshua. Talk to the Christ itself of you and your heart to protect and let it exponentially go out and out and out, you know. And then do your spell casting. Do your spell casting in the favor of the light. Do your invocation, your command, uh, in favor of that thing you want to bring in, and your automatic writing. Um, Most of the time, I really preface, you know, help me, angels, or give me the answer. I've never felt anything bad. And when I usually do feel something bad, it's shivers and something else I'll take a look at to protect myself, because I know if you're from God, you're always protected. If you are of the light, you're always protected. If you need to think on it to remind yourself, that's okay, because that's doubling up your power, and that's what you need to do. As a light being, that's what you need to do right now. So look, you can look up automatic writing, and I may look up more of the history of automatic writing and how it came about. May have come up in popularity with accordance with seances when they became popular, as well as it's interesting, right? The Parker Brothers game that's still around, which is the Ouija board. Now we know that Jane Roberts used the Ouija board to channel Seth, and she got a very magnificent, intelligent, multidimensional being, passed over being, to speak to her through that. Although a Ouija board is a portal, and as a child, young adult in high school, I had it, and I think it was inviting evil. I didn't know about protecting myself. I tossed that thing in the woods back of this house. So they put the whatever that thing called is, that gauge that go points to stuff. The pointer, I do that one direction, I do the other thing in the other direction. If I had more gumption, I would have went to the woods and buried it, but I didn't want to have it near me anymore. I didn't want, so I just do it as far as I could. And maybe before I leave this place out, I will buy some crystals or something specifically for the woods. It did steal. The woods did take a beautiful obsidian elephant carved crystal I had, took it from me. It's probably, if I could really dig for it now with all these leaves and all the rain and all the things that have happened, it's been, 5-6 months. So it's part of the earth there. It's supposed to be there. And maybe it actually, obsidian is for like grounding and protection against negative forces, negative energy. So maybe I'll go get some little obsidian and crystals and we'll just throw them out in the woods. And maybe I'll get something else green too, throw it in the woods and just sprinkle it around. I don't mind. I'll do that. And now, of course, it's a lot of the leaves are down, so I could just toss them out like seeds. So I think that'll be fun to do. And I'll probably burn some incense too a little bit when I do that. I just wanted to come on a little bit and just talk about some of my experiences with angels, especially angels of light. Angels of light. What I normally felt around that, in one major, several times really, when I lived in the Southwest. When I now knew what Flagstaff at 7,000 feet was and Sedona at 40,000 feet, and going down what's called the canyon. If for some reason you should have an accident or smash or fall off, you're dead. or gonna die or be paralyzed or broken or amputated. Some places that you can really get crunched, on canyon driving. It's not as bad as some of that European driving, like up into the Alps, where those people that drive those buses and there's just a hair, like maybe there's just like a finger between cars and buses against the side of the part of the Alps, mountains, and down is the drop, and there's no guardrail going to save your ass. You're done. You're an angel. You'll leave your soul. You'll leave your soul will fly out of your body. You're gonna get all smashed up and squished like a deer bug, and fall like a pancake, and blood and guts come out. That's an effort, but they have to find you. Um, yeah. So, uh, when I would do that driving the 50 minutes up the canyon to Flagstaff or Sedona, sometimes especially at night, I would call in like I want 27 angels, I want Michael, and I'd call in Michael and all the archangels names I could think of, and I'd say you ride shotgun, and not only want 7 angels, I want like 27 angels, I want 15 angels all over me because I'm riding up in the dark and I want to go off the road or something, or coming down, my legs would shake, might get all shaky in my legs knowing I was coming down 3,000 feet. No, I didn't feel sick. I just felt like, oh, gonna drive in the lines, don't miss. Because there are some people who become comfortable with the road, or they don't know the road going too fast. They smash into some part of a mountain that's on the certain side you're driving. And then, people put out a cross or some memory of that person. There are some places where you might only fall um, 6 to 8 to 14, 16 feet. And then you'll be stuck and not necessarily dead. That, but the human body being what it is, it doesn't take much to conk us out and have us see birds or be part of the angel realm. So I'm just saying, when you live in the Southwest, if you ever, like you live in Colorado, you live in the Alps, you live in certain places where there are mountain passageways, in places in Arizona, you're mindful about how you drive. You're mindful because it can be tricky in places. Arizona is not just one flat desert. There's plenty of desert, but there are mountain passes that are highly trafficked and used regularly. So anyway, I would call on the angels for that. I also in Flagstaff used to see, and I probably should have put this in the description, I would see orbs. I don't see orbs as much as I used to. I used to see orbs all the time. And there was a time in Flagstaff that I was a little bit afraid. I remember seeing a cluster of orbs outside my window where I lived. And I just remember thinking, well, if you're not from the light, even though they looked like they were from the light, because they were white ball spheres. And I would just say, then go away because only the light. Now they went away. It could have went away because I wasn't going to give them a time of day. I observed them. They came a lot. I also had black orbs. Sometimes I had purple orbs. Later, I have a picture of myself that has an orb in it in the mansion I used to live in. And it was on my birthday, so it was floating around me. I'm not afraid of them. I once in a while here I have seen, I would say dark brown, maybe light black orbs in this room, but not irregularly. More regularly, I feel things. Don't always see things, and of course I will see my coded energy has come to me. It's a combination. So sometimes I hear things, sometimes I see things and auras, and sometimes I feel things. This, I think, is going to grow more and more from this time. First, because I do ask for it to grow more and more. Also, I'm sharing this out here and sort of sharing and being vulnerable, but also as maybe you feel these ways too. And so it's showing you things are not a coincidence, they're all part of an experience. Matter is neither created nor destroyed. We are to be felt beings. I have this sense of myself that the energy in my hands is like me out of kind of a futuristic science fiction movie where those that champion goodness, or sometimes they've used their energy for non good things, but I feel like that's part of my gift, to champion in the light and to help people and to move energies, entities, who knows, move big things too. maybe even physical big things. So I'm just being open to its development. And what else I want to say about automatic writing? I'm going to look up the history to kind of talk about that more. There was something else I guess I wanted to mention. No, well, you may notice, yes, I have some new blonde hair. I actually don't have it cut a certain way, which I'd like it to be shaped a little bit. And there is one place I want to reach out to. My dad could do it, but I think there's a place I want to see if I want to go in. I don't want to wear a mask. I will talk to the hairdresser or the owner. If that can happen, great. If not, then I don't go, and it's fine. I don't need a hair shaping. In fact, what I like to do is sometimes I use little pins and I'll just curl my hair and it will start to wave. If this is cut into a certain way, um, I don't want to lose all my layers, but because I like it long and I want to keep it about this length. So I think my father's trying to go to bed. So what I'd like to do is just put little like pin curls in it and have some wave. Oh, let's see what's going on. Oh, lots of noise. Anyway, let me just close the door. 1 second, folks. Okay, thank you for that. I'm not really sure. I live with my elder dad. He's gone to his bed. This house is more of an open concept type of home, so I don't know how much my voice is heard or not. He is hard of hearing, but we'll see. And that could have been a noise downstairs. I don't know if that was. I don't think that was prime delivery. Anyway, I'll check out that after. It could have been the lady. Could have been, I don't know what that was. So I think I'm pretty much at the end. I was not going to send out energy tonight or do a card. This was mostly coming on because I had this impression of speaking to angels and automatic writing and letting you know that these are accessible for you. I disagree with some of the bigger names out there that say don't do certain metaphysical work without us leading you, even though they say no one is your guru. It at the time sounded like, and forgive me if I'm wrong to them, these people that are talking, we all have our experiences and we learn by some experiences that are also uncomfortable. We also will be guided by other people and we'll be guided by books and YouTube or information. We'll be guided by the information that comes to us. And you know when something feels ultimately good and happy and uplifting, and also when energy starts to feel kind of funky, your body will give you messages. Your body will give you messages. And you can also request these things as you're falling to sleep to be protected. And you say your prayers or your mantras, you say something special. You also can start to, feel it. And I'm remembering to do this more, to feel it into being, to call it into being, declare it into being, desire it into being. You will it into being by talking about, I have this thing and it makes me feel so good. And that's why I desire it and I have it and I feel good as I have it. So I have it. Meaning, just trust that this thing that you so want is showing up. It's there. It's coming closer. It's much like, did you ever look for keys or your glasses or money or something that's in your purse, but you can't find it? And you look and look and look. It might be 15 minutes later, 5 minutes later, even 3 days later, and it was right there all the time. You were somewhere else. It was there. You didn't forget. It was there. It was there. And you were feeling around, you were looking, you were shaking. That thing, for whatever reason, was lost in another portal, another timeline itself, and came back. So you could say, oh, now we're a match. There you go. Well, I'm going to end this here for now. One thing I will share, because Deborah Robbins is here. Actually, no, I'm gonna call her. I was gonna share something about cards that I pulled, and I pulled some more cards. And the other thing that I want to mention and we'll say this part. So the other condition of meeting this man Henry today was he had a relative who lives in Florida. he had a relative that moved to Jacksonville, Florida. They have less expensive rents there, but the man had to reinvent himself because he's a major electrician, but he couldn't really get hired as an electrician, so he works as a handyman, and he seems to be busy as a handyman. Um, Jacksonville, Florida is much northern Florida, and I still prefer to come south. So I'm being open to how I get there and how this plays out and sending out resumes. I'm just going to be open because you never know how an angel, well, how can I put this? Don't do things just in case. I'll just in case do this thing just in case. It's not that, but being open because while you do know how things happen and many good things can happen, you also are being open because some of that not knowing or that you don't know is being open to people showing up as angels or angels showing up to really support and forward you and help you, give you impetus and inspiration to move forward. So all right. My little coyote heart loves you. Oh, here's a plug. I am going to have a Facebook Live tomorrow night, a live event. I will stay on Facebook and people can jump on. If you jump on and just say, yes, I'd like some card pull, then there will be card pulls. It will be done with as much discretion as possible. If I get something that I think I sounds too sensitive, I'll say that to the person, but I'm just going to do this overview. So you may have come, yes, I'd like a reading for myself. I'm not sure what question to ask, or may have asked a question. I'm doing an overview for your highest and best. Take down the name of the image and the number, and there will be a follow-up that is more of a private follow-up that if you choose to message me, we can go over the cards again even more. It will depend who shows up. Certainly if even if five people show up and want this, while I've asked for donation, if no donation, I'm still going to do this because it's good practice for me and it's a lot of fun, and I won't mind doing it. I'm going to show up to have some fun, show up to have some connection. Um, but what I want to say is I value people's feelings, so I'm not going to want to say something that might be in a way not so helpful in front of other people, but helpful to you if we talk privately. And so it's going to take you as your own thinking, feeling adult person to get in touch with me about if you need that follow up. But that's tomorrow night, 6:30 Eastern Standard Time on Facebook Live. So I'll be mentioning it again and again so people will remember. And I do have somewhat of a busy day tomorrow, so I'll just be jumping on to say that and getting on right on time. Um, I hope to have some issues cleared up over my Coyote Heart Destiny Sylph and then over my Syrian Soul Oracle. And I'm going to have someone kind of step in to remind me or educate me, coach me on some things that I want to do for my platforms. And she seems a little more inept, not inept. Oh, she's adept. Excuse me. She's adept at this and going to lead me to some reminding of how to do some of the stuff that I want to do, and some things that I may know that I forgot, or just it'll just be down clear. I'll have second eyes to help me out. So, okay, good wishes, and I will see you sometime tomorrow. Have a great night. My little coyote heart loves you. You are the key.